the privilege to welcome to the podium Mr. Hasan Mutlu, who is the Ireland country manager of Turkish Airlines. Turkish fly double daily to Istanbul. They are the airline that flies to most of to more countries than any other airline. It's pretty straightforward. It's going to be an incredibly exciting year for Turkish Airlines because the word game changer is used an awful lot in travel, and very often it's overstating it, but it's not overstating it to say that the opening of a new airport in Istanbul is going to change everything in terms of the travel from Ireland to all the destinations that Turkish Airlines fly on to. I'm also delighted to welcome John Warr from Wendy Wu. Wendy Wu is a tour operator. Wendy Wu is a real person, a Chinese lady who set up a tour operator originally from Australia to China, but they've grown their market. They've opened up other markets, source markets around the world. And one of the most exciting, one of the most important things that happened in the Irish travel industry in recent years has been the arrival of Wendy Wu tours. There's very little visibility in Ireland 3 or 4 years ago. On Thursday night, they won an Irish Travel Industry Award as a tour operator, and it's a great achievement. They are specialists in China, but the portfolio has increased massively in recent years, and then we will be talking about Asia here today, but it also is we can accommodate any questions about Wendy Wu's portfolio, which includes South America, growing part of South America. Malik is from Classic Resorts, also a tour operator winner on at the Irish Travel Industry Awards. They are a specialist long-haul operator based out of Ireland and have been in this business for years and years and years, more than 25 years, and they knowledge that the combined trio are bringing to the forum here is quite enormous. First of all, I'm going to ask you about your airport, Hasan. You've got your hard hat and your trowel, and you're putting the finishing touches on it. When is it opening, and what difference will it make to the Irish traveller?
Well, most probably the new airport will be opened on 29th of October this year.
The 9th of October.
So yeah, so this date has been finalized. All preparations has been done. All trainings and tests have already started. So this will be, as you may know, the biggest move ever in the aviation history, from one airport to another one. So Istanbul Atatürk Airport's capacity is over 65-70 million. So we are moving this huge airport in one night, and we're taking everything to another airport, which is like 40 kilometers away.
The logistics are beyond imagining.
Yeah. So we're having, of course, some support on this because this is very complicated. We know it. That's why we are all looking at the 29th of October 2018. This is the biggest day for us.
I'll come back to you about the product and what that means, because it means Atatürk Airport, that a lot of people in the audience would be familiar with is effectively closing, and it'll probably be retained for some low-cost product, I think, or something. Will the Atatürk be kept in any sense?
The plan is that most probably Atatürk Airport will be kept, but in a smaller version. One runway can be closed, so it will be used for mainly the private jets, and it will be planned as a kind of, some part of it will be planned as a kind of city park, maybe something like Central Park. So they're working on this. Hope to see this green area. You know, it's one of the most central places in Istanbul.
John Warr, Wendy Wu have doubled their bookings in Ireland in the last year, and you won an award the other night. What do you put this down to? Is there a sense of curiosity in China and in your portfolio of destinations among the Irish people?
Yeah, I think our offering, which is a full inclusive offering to Asia, gives a lot of our customers peace of mind. So if you're traveling to China, for example, hardly anybody speaks a word of English in China, even now. So when you arrive on our tours, for example, in China, you'll be met by a guide, and the guide stays with you for the whole duration of the tour. because China is such a vast country, populations are just short of 1.4 billion. And you know, the size of the Great Wall, for example, is the same distance between London and Dubai. It's a massive country. On some of the tour, you have to fly between cities, so the guide checks you in. Not only do they check you in, but they will also be on the same flight as you are. So the guides never leave you. They're in the same hotel. They'll travel with you. So if there's any issues in terms of language, they are there for you. We also give you a national guide as well. We include the visas. All the food is included. Our tours to China start from 2,390 euros. And if you were to book those before the end of January, you get 250 euros off that price as well. And I think what's fueled some of that growth is our expansion. So we are now not only the biggest tour operator to China from Ireland, UK and Australia, we're also the biggest tour operator to Japan. And today on our stands, you know, we've had an endless amount of requests for Japan. But we also feature Vietnam and Cambodia. We also feature India. We also feature Sri Lanka and Thailand as well. And as you rightly say, a couple of weeks ago, we launched South America as well, which is very exciting.
Malik, I'm old enough to remember when the outbound holiday market from Ireland worldwide was smaller than the long-haul market is now. Where are Irish people going? Where's the big interest among Irish people for when they're traveling long-haul?
If we speak at the moment, that would be for Asia, most likely there will be Thailand. Thailand will be our biggest seller and constantly the most popular destination. But also, as John said, no, other destinations that they are becoming more and more popular. It's all the Indian Ocean, also like Sri Lanka, India. That's what's working well. But Thailand, Indonesia, that would be our biggest sellers for the
Thailand and Indonesia.
And Indonesia, Bali. That would be the main destinations for recreational holidays.
Thailand's phenomenal, isn't it? It's doing 60,000 out of Ireland every year. It's
exactly.
Amazing.
Exactly. There's so many different options, and also within Thailand itself, you would have plenty different options, starting from very affordable prices, low deposits as well, and easy access to all the resorts and big cities like Bangkok. Then that would be one of the main reasons why why Thailand is still so popular and it's growing and growing.
Hasan, how many destinations is Turkish now? I lose count because it goes up every year by a couple of dozen. And where are the big onward connections that you see? You fly double daily from Dublin to Istanbul, and a lot of your traffic is onward connection.
Yes. I've been with the company for more than 20 years, and you know, when I started 20 years ago, when we had 60 destinations only with 60 planes. 60 only, a very regional airline. So after 20 years, where we are at the moment is that flying over 300 destinations. 303 actually. 303 destinations. Wow. So with 329 aircrafts in the fleet. So we're talking about a very big airline. And with the opening of the largest airport in the world this year on 29th of October, again, let me mention this reality. This fact. So we will keep having our new planes, which will be joining into the fleet, and right after this we will have our new destinations, which are most probably will be on the west, Mexico City, on the east, Sydney, connecting Warr, Istanbul at Atatürk, Istanbul New Airport, which will be the largest one in the world with 6 runways. And when all phases completed,
runways and a capacity of 120 million passengers, is it? For
100, well, first phase 90 million, second and third phase completed, then 150. But when fourth phase completed, the capacity will be over 200 million passengers.
200 million.
So it will be the largest one in the world.
More than 3 times the size of Heathrow.
Exactly. So this will be the story, connecting west to east with the largest hub in the world.
And where, from the Irish connections, where are you noticing? What cities what destination are you noticing featuring heavily in the connections from Ireland?
Well, in Asia, you know, this year especially, of course, everybody's looking at Bangkok, which is the biggest market in Thailand, Phuket. But on top of this, we have a huge jump in the number of passengers traveling to Mauritius, And Maldives.
Maldives.
Yes, we're seeing very good results, and I think in 2018 we're going to see the same figure, the same increase on those destinations.
And you fly double daily with the new capacity in in Istanbul. Are you thinking of increasing that frequency?
In 2018, no, but I think in 2019, with the new aircrafts in the fleet, we are having those plans on the desk, either having a new frequency or having a wide-body aircraft. So we're working on this at the moment.
So you might have an A330 on that route? Yeah?
Might be, most probably. So we will have a new story in 2019 for Ireland.
And you got an announcement of a new fleet our order yesterday, which would put new A321 Neos on the. Will we see those coming to Dublin? You don't know. Too early. The announcement was only yesterday. John, tell me about prices. Wendy was seen as a luxury product. How much are we paying for our escorted to? Because there's a lot of as you described it, there's a lot of hand-holding. You have, your customers don't have to worry about anything. Everything is done with local guides and language and everything like that is accommodated for.
So in terms of our prices, as you said, they're fully inclusive. So all your meals are included, breakfast, lunch and dinner. We even look after the visa for you. We work with all the agents in Ireland, so if you're used to booking with travel agents, they will know of us already, and all you have to do is fill up the form, they send it to us, and we'll sort your visas out for you. All the guiding is included as well. All the flights, all domestic traveling as well, and as I said, all your meals. Vietnam is also very popular as a destination, and again we have a tour to Vietnam which is 2,790 euros. If you book it before the end of January, you get another 250 euros off per person. So that's a 12-day tour which covers most of the sites in Vietnam. You go to Saigon, you go to Hoi An, you go to Halong Bay. So it's a fully inclusive tour again. And I think, one of the principles of Wendy Wu, who is actually a person, by the way, is that when we started our journey off booking China, Wendy was a little bit reluctant a few years ago to say, let's go into other destinations. And then we kind of convinced her to go into Vietnam and Cambodia and Japan. And she said, yes, you can do that as long as, our customers go through the same experience as they would booking a holiday in China. So in China we own our ground handling agents, so our people on the ground are our people. We specifically moved our head office in China to Xi'an because there is a university which produces the best English-speaking guides. If you want comfort, just go on TripAdvisor and you'll see the comments that customers make specifically about our guides. But you've got countries like India, again, a very popular destination this year. Joanna Lumley goes on TV, talks about Japan, then suddenly everybody wants to go to Japan. She did the same for India. We saw a big spike on India as well.
Malik, out of your portfolio, give us an example of how much people are paying to go long haul. And are the flights included in the prices that Classic Collections will bring to the marketplace?
Yes, all our packages with Classic Reserves are with flights included. Flights, transfers and accommodation, that's usually included for all packages. Of course, now if you need any insurance, any extras, local tours, we are able to do that. So what depends what destinations we are talking about. Thailand, which I mentioned earlier, could start from 990 per person. That's including your flight, 990. So that's including your flight, your 7 nights accommodation, your transfers. So that's a price which you pay. For Asia, most of our hotels and resorts, they would have a breakfast included. We deliberately don't offer options with all-inclusive or half-board. Of course, you can do that if you want. That's one of the beauty of Asia, pretty much every single country, that you can go there locally and you can explore. Is it your 5-star resort you are staying, or is it the 3-star hotel you want to go for dining? You can do that. It is so affordable, and it's actually fun to explore a little bit, to get that taste, get that local flavor there, and it's safe as well.
I've opened to the questions from the floor, so but we have spotters here, so just put your hand up if you have a question. Staying with you, Malik, the star rating system came up in a previous discussion. There is no worldwide way of telling a 4-star hotel from a 3-star hotel. How does a tour operator work out the logistics of countries like Vietnam and Cambodia claiming a 4-star hotel or a 3-star hotel when sometimes the local standards will vary so much?
Exactly. You're absolutely right. There's no standardized selection of star rating. This is like for us, for tour operator, we would have our trusted suppliers which would constantly check all the resorts against all the standards, which we will ask them to double check that quality is provided, that our 4-star the hotel or resort which we think that is a 4 or 5-star, it meets those requirements. Of course, now if there's a situation that there are any issues, which is quite rare in Asia, luckily, we would always investigate and double check if that's really the same situation constantly with all the resorts. But as I said, all the resorts are checked quite often by us as well as all my colleagues and myself. We travel quite often to all those destinations. It's not only our private trip, it is part of the job, part to see, yes, is it a 5-star product we sell to our client.
And rating hotels, John, how does Wendy manage that very complicated process?
Yeah.
And what sort of hotels? How important is the accommodation?
Yeah, so I think what's important to know is we constantly have people on the ground monitoring not only the rates of the hotels, but also from a health and safety point of view as well. The other thing we do regularly is we also look at feedback, from our customers that have just returned from a tour. So, we monitor it very closely, and if there's either positive or negative feedback, we will adjust our program accordingly as well. Now, you talked about people seeing us as a luxury product. Actually, it isn't. We've got a range of products. We talk about our tours. Our classical tours, for example, the average size of the group is about 26, maximum 29. On the classical tours, we will use predominantly 4-star accommodation. And then on the exclusive collection, which is predominantly 5-star, the group sizes are smaller, they're 18. We will never not run a tour because there aren't enough people on it. Nice. We sell it from the tour from Australia, from Ireland, from the UK, and so our tours will go full all the time, yeah.
Question for the second row here.
Wondering, have you any comments on Sri Lanka? Tours there?
Sorry, I didn't hear it.
It's a question about Sri Lanka. Do one of our tour operators want to take it? Do you want to come in there, Malik?
You want to take it?
Yes, how can I help you with Sri Lanka? I actually went there myself in April.
You've just come back from Sri Lanka. My observation on Sri Lanka, to sum it up in a little soundbite, is it's as amazing and as varied as India is, except it's smaller. The road distances are what would take 2,000 kilometers in India. You can travel 150, 200 kilometers in Sri Lanka, and there's a huge variety of product within an island which is only 2/3 the size of Ireland. The beaches, the classic white sand beaches of the south coast, and these amazing UNESCO World Heritage sites on mountaintops, there's no other word for it, that you can come across. And then 3 layers of colonial, first of all the Dutch, and then the Portuguese, and then the British, all stayed for 150 years each, very neatly, and they all left this culinary and cultural influence on it. So it's quite a really interesting country, as interesting in the way India and all of these great Asian places are, except it's compact. And I think that's the real key selling point of it. Do you want to come in there, Malik, on Sri Lanka?
I totally agree with you. It's, as you said, it's very compact, but it combines all different products. You have the beach, you have beautiful hills covered with tea bushes, tea plantations. You have beautiful food, fantastic people. It's one of those dream destinations, I would call it.
A dream destination, that's pretty much an endorsement. And Sri Lanka are here. So is Malik in the room? Is that not Adel in the room? No, okay. Okay, we can come here too.
I was going to say,
Yeah, sorry, John wants to come in here.
Owen, I was going to say, if the gentleman's looking for a tour of Sri Lanka, we have a 15-day highlights of Sri Lanka tour, which starts off at 3,900 euros. You get 250 euros off that as well. And of course, the beauty of, you asked about the growth of Ireland. We're very lucky to have airlines like Turkish Airlines now flying out of Dublin. You can fly with Emirates, for example, via Dubai. You know, so you don't have to go into London. You can fly, but that tour is available at 3,700 euros. That's a full inclusive tour.
And Sri Lanka are in the hall here. They have a very a stand in the hall, so you can come and they will be delighted to talk more about it. We have a question here from the third row, I think.
Yeah. I would like to question in relation to the hotels in 5-star or 4-star, in comparison of how they compare and how they're rated in comparison to the hotels in Ireland. Because from my experience with travel, what can be a 4-star, we're told a 4-star, we might actually look on as a 2-star, because different countries have different regulations or maybe different requirements in that sense. And also in relation to the tours, if you book a tour, say, with either of you to China, to any part of Asia, do you also supply with your literature a basic guide to basic phrases in the language of the countries that you're going to, which I always maintain is very, very helpful to have before you go?
Who wants to come in here? John, do you want to come in here?
Just to answer that, it's a very good question. It's a question I think that was asked previously as well. Having traveled extensively with Wendy Wu around Vietnam, around China, around India, around Cambodia, when we say it's a 4-star accommodation, it is absolutely a 4-star accommodation. If it's 5-star, it is exclusively a 5-star accommodation. So you are comparing like for like. It's pointless saying it's a 4-star if it isn't. So we will be as transparent as we can be on the brochure. So it's a very good question. In terms of the phrase book, yes, we provide sort of a wallet with a pack which you will have. Because we provide the guides who are with you all the time, it's not a necessity for you to learn the language, because you need someone. As we said earlier, in places like China and Vietnam and Japan, very few people speak English. But of course people want to learn, they want to immerse themselves in the countries that they're going to, so we do provide you with a phrase book, which is very useful. Thank you.
I want to bring Hasan back in here. Turkish is very unusual. Almost all the airlines take food basically out of the same kitchen. They're supplied by 2 or 3 of the big culinary suppliers, Gate Gourmet. Turkish have a policy of making your own food. Food on a Turkish flight is provided by your own suppliers.
We have Eoghan Corry, the catering company, and it's been very famous all around the world, and because of their unique and unbelievable work, we've been having the Skytrack Awards for the last 6 years in a row.
And Business Class to Europe, you won the Travel Industry Awards.
We've been receiving the Best Business Class Lounge Dining Award again.
Best Lounge in Istanbul.
And second Best Economy Class Catering as well. So overall, yes, Eoghan Corry is doing a great job in that sense.
Now, the Turkish fleet will bring you to Thailand is a very big destination for you. Malaysia is a very big destination for you. Are we ever going to see Australia? Because Australia is a big route out of Ireland.
Most probably when we start, hopefully this year, it won't be a direct flight. And as far as we know, it will be with a stop in Bali.
Okay.
So that's why I think we will add 2 new destinations into our fleet, which will bring it up to 305.
But one of the interesting developments, and Malik can come in on this, is that getting to Thailand, which is, you pointed out, is a big destination. It used to be always Dublin through the Middle East or Istanbul, and then on to Bangkok and another internal flight. You've added Phuket and are there other plans for Thailand holidays?
Well, it's one of the biggest markets in the world. That's why, of course, there are plans over there, but of course they're all subject to our board's approval, and without their approval, I think it wouldn't be nice to let everybody know.
Is it important, Malik, that we now have Krabi and Chiang Mai and Phuket as one-stop destinations? Do Irish people count the number of stops that they have to take the flight from when they're booking their holiday? Does it matter to them? Is it important?
Of course it is. It is, at the moment I would say it's almost necessity. Some of them, they would be able to change their travel plans, or they, again, I'll use the word dream travel plans, because the flight is much longer. If they have one option, they would be able to push their plans ahead, okay, just to get that easier connection. And of course it is much easier for us to sell, for us to offer the product. It means that you can enjoy more your holidays. You can enjoy the time which you can have in your destinations, which you were waiting for so long, which you are saving quite often for it. So it is very important. And thanks to the airlines, thanks to Turkish Airlines and other partners which we work close, we can offer that. We can offer 2-3 center holidays with just a one stop. So that's much easier and much better for you, because you can spend more time in your final resort. You can stay on that beautiful beach as soon as you land there.
And do you know, one of the great revolutions in recent years has been visa. The complicated, Sri Lanka being an example, the complicated process of getting a visa has all been removed by visa on arrival, e-visa. Have you noticed that, Malik? Is that one of the great trends in travelling to Asia, that an Irish passport holder has far fewer hurdles to go through?
Yes, certainly. That's definitely very important as well, and much easier for Irish passport holders to travel. It's at the moment one of the best passports to have, because you can, as you mentioned, visa on arrival or visa free. For Sri Lanka, which we mentioned earlier, also you have easy electronic visa, which you just fill up. Sorry. When you fill up the easy form online, and you have it within a few hours your permission to land. And again, for other countries, luckily that's a trend which is growing. More and more countries are joining this kind of process.
And what's joined in the last year? India is now e-visa. And Vietnam has got easier, hasn't it?
Exactly. Also, that was quite complicated process for both countries. Now it takes. My partner was actually doing visa for India recently, and it took actually 3 hours to get that visa instead of 7 days, which could take before.
Right. It's one of the big mysteries to me how Thailand does so many so many tourists compared with India, which is a bigger country and a more diverse country. I think the visa is probably part of the problem. Hasan, the Turkish routes to unusual places like the stands, you've got quite a range of Asian cities that some of your competitors across the Gulf do not offer. What trends are you seeing? Are you seeing Irish people travelling to former Soviet republics like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan? They both changed their visa regime recently to make it a visa on arrival for Irish people. You offer a lot of routes into those areas.
I worked in Asia in different countries, like Japan, like Kazakhstan. So I know the issues over there. So this issue is very important for Irish people, Irish passengers, and we have some niche markets where actually no one flies but Turkish Airlines. For example, like Dushanbe in Tajikistan, ex-Soviet countries, and actually we were the first international airline flying to Almaty when they gained their independence from the Soviet Union. And together with all these destinations, actually in Asia, we are flying to 36 destinations. In Asia, well, on top of this, of course, we have 51 destinations in Africa, 114 destinations in Europe. So that 36 destinations in Asia is just the beginning. And with the new aircraft into the fleet and new plannings, I think by 2023, we will have be adding like additional 10 or 15 new destinations in Asia, which is a huge market.
And within Turkey, Turkish tourism to Turkey fell back very badly over the last 2 years. If we used to put 117, 118,000 people into Turkey, it came back to just around half that. Have you seen that growing again in 2018? Because you do a big service to within Turkey through Istanbul, places like Antalya that would be big holiday resorts. Are you seeing Turkish bookings to Turkey coming back?
It's coming back very rapidly, actually. It's much faster than we thought. And as a result of this, I think that in 2017, the total number of tourists visiting Turkey was over 30 million. Like 2 years ago, we hit 40 million limit. But hopefully next year, we will see this figure again, like 40 million, which is a huge one.
And will you fly from Dublin to one of the southwestern tourist resorts? Are you looking at that as an option for Turkish Airlines route?
Well, we have many Irish citizens who have their apartments and summer houses in places like Antalya, Alanya, Izmir, you know. So it's always on the desk. It all depends on how much requests we have from the market. So most probably we will be discussing about this in the next few months.
We have a direct flights to Izmir as well from Aer Lingus, and we have some charter carriers, mainly with 3 different destinations from Belfast. So there are charter options to get back to southwest Turkey, and also Hasan's rival airlines, Emirates and Etihad, would have lots of one-stop options that Malik would use as well. Qatar entered the Irish market last year. It's quite an amazing development that we have daily flights via Qatar. Penang in Malaysia is one of the new destinations they're bringing in this year. And we also have a direct flight from Cathay Pacific, Dublin to Hong Kong, 4 times weekly, starting this week. Very big on John's radar, I know, because that's for the first time a direct flight into China for your clients. We're hoping to get Beijing. Beijing is probably on its way for 2019. So the interest, the appetite for Asia among Irish people is just enormous, and it seems to be growing, and this pendulum isn't swinging back anytime soon. I'll take one last question from the floor. If you have a question, we have a lady here.
I would just ask, in relation to, because Asia is becoming so popular, and this question would be for both John and Malak, in terms of, because it is becoming such a popular destination with Irish people, if one was unfortunate enough to become ill during one of the tours, what would be the medical facilities and be like?
Okay, becoming ill, people do have genuine concerns when they're travelling. How good are the medical facilities? It's an interesting one, because some of these countries that we're talking about offer medical tourism to people to go and get treatments there at a fraction of the cost at home. Do either of our tour operators want to pick up that, John?
Yeah, I can talk. I can talk about my personal experience, for example, in China. I was in China a couple of years ago with my daughter, who was 19. She had really, really bad tonsillitis. I tried to go out on my own in Beijing to try and find a pharmacy. Forget it, nobody speaks a word of English. The only pharmacy I could find was all this kind of, herbal kind of pharmacy. Luckily, we had a guide with us who immediately directed us to a hospital. And the hospital was unbelievable in terms of cleanliness, in terms of being able to be seen straight away. Bearing in mind, China has a population of 1.4 billion. It is an advanced country. When China decides to build an airport, they will build it in a very short space of time. When China decides to build, a bridge or a train, it gets done very quickly. So China isn't the place it was 10, 15 years ago. Places like Vietnam as well, and things do go wrong, you're absolutely right. But you have to take some peace of mind that there's a guide with you all the time who is looking after you, looking after your health needs, and that when things do go wrong, they have you at the heart of the whole tour. So you become a priority. As I say, in places like China, we own the ground handling agents, so all our people on the ground are employed by Wendy as well. Japan is an advanced country. I went to Japan 30 years ago. I'm due to go back again very soon. Even 30 years ago, it was exceptional in terms of the advancement with technology and everything else. So Yes, so a lot of these countries that we're talking
I know
about.
people who book hospital appointments for when they're in Bangkok because it's a fraction
India,
of the price. Do you see medical tourism growing to these areas? It's a good place to get, what tends to happen is holidaymakers tend to get access to very good medical, even in countries where this isn't general. They do bring tourists to the best medical facilities fairly quickly. And everybody is traveling with a high level of travel insurance nowadays, so there isn't that much questioning of a tourist who arrives sick. But I was just going to put that point about medical tourism to Thailand and other Asian countries to Malik there.
Yes, so it isn't part of our portfolio as for classic resorts, but we also noticed that, as you mentioned, Bangkok, for example, is one of the probably top medical destinations for dentist treatments. That's also for plastic surgeries. Also, China is becoming very popular for any kind of treatments which are related to surgeries, to also medical implants, etc. So we can see that this market is growing as well. And as you mentioned, that's in case something bad happens, during your regular tours, we always recommend our clients, we always check if our customers are protected by their own insurance, and if any assistance is needed, of course, then we would go above and beyond to assist with our ground handler, with our hotel partners, to assist those customers, because they are in distress, they are in need of urgent help. And is it just to rebook their flights, to assist them to hospital, or with translations? We are there to assist as much as we can.
Thank you very much. You've been a great audience.